What is going on YouTube? Steve here today, and today I've got the Ram GT versus the Gladiator Rubicon. Now, the reason why I'm doing this video is because a lot of the times people think that the Gladiator is kind of the happy medium between a pickup truck and a Jeep Wrangler. Well, in this case, I'm going to show you actually why most people end up actually going with the Ram or a pickup truck over the other pickup truck here, which is essentially a Wrangler just converted with a bed. If you aren't familiar with the Gladiator, then we're going to show you a little bit more in-depthly into it, and obviously you're aware of the Ram and the reputation it has. It's been the best-selling truck for quite some time now, and probably the most popular, I would say, pickup right now on the market is this Ram GT, and we're going to get into that in just a second. If you aren't subscribed to the channel, please make sure you do subscribe to the channel, and we'll get right into it. So in the GT here, you have a truck, you know, that is very popular. There's a lot of Rams on the road, a lot more than there are Gladiators on the road. However, there's a lot of Wranglers on the road. I still definitely, as far as sales go, the Ram definitely takes the cake there. But, you know, being in it and comparing it to that, for someone like me, it's a lot more comfortable to sit in the Ram. The ride, a lot better than the Rubicon for sure. Even if we're comparing, you know, any of the Jeep, as far as that goes, the ride you really can't beat as far as the ride quality goes in this. So I think a huge deciding factor between these two vehicles is actually the legroom in the back seat, and the reason why is because a lot of people who are buying one of these vehicles is usually because you have a family and you're going to be putting people in it. Lots of legroom back here. I'm 6'3", I fit very comfortably back here. I have zero complaints about how comfortable this seat is. I find it's reclined just enough. You can't recline this one the way it is if you do get into a Laramie or a Limited or a Longhorn. In those models, you can recline the seat. Essentially what it does is it pulls the seat forward and it reclines you back. You like the way this feels too, this is fine. It's not uncomfortable at all. I could do like an 8-hour trip back here steady and probably not have any complaints about how I feel in this seat right now. It is very comfortable. So now we're in the back of the Gladiator. As far as legroom goes, I mean, it's not terrible. I can't actually put my legs as far forward because it starts to hit the bottom of the seat here, and my knees have about, I don't know, 3-4 inches of space maybe up here. Again, not as comfortable as far as the seat's reclinement goes. I'm about a little bit less reclined, I'd say, in this as well. So definitely a lot tighter back here for sure compared to the Ram. You know, with headroom and everything, I'd say it's about the same. If you're looking for legroom in the back seat, I would probably say that the legroom in the back seat of this is definitely a lot tighter. So if you are someone like me who's about 6'3" and you're a bit taller, bigger person, you're probably not going to be the craziest about how this back seat feels over time of a road trip or something like that. Now, if you do have kids or anything like that and you're thinking about putting a car seat back here, it's not that bad. The only thing that's a little bit uncomfortable is the door width is a little bit more narrow than the Ram. Actually, it's quite a bit more narrow, and it is a little bit harder to get in and out. Then people, you know, are under the assumption that the Hemi wastes a lot more gas than the 3.6, which is what's in that. Another assumption that people are under is that, you know, this is a heavier vehicle, which it is, but you got to look at this this way. So the Hemi actually in this has the e-torque system, and the reason why I'm comparing the GT to the Rubicon is because the price point wise, you're looking at a very similar price point once when the discounts and all of that come into play. So when you're looking at the incentives on both of these, the incentives are a lot stronger on the Ram than they are on the Gladiator, which essentially what happens is then that price kind of levels out to where we're talking about the same vehicle when we're looking at price point. And I think that's a huge reason why people end up going with the Ram. You're getting a lot more space, you're getting a lot more bed space too in the Ram as well, and there's a lot more options as far as, let's say now you want to throw a tonneau cover on them, there's a lot more options as far as what tonneau covers you can run on this than there are with the Gladiator. Not saying there's not options with the Gladiator, but there's definitely more with the Ram just because there's so many more of them out there. So the person who ends up usually going with the Gladiator is someone who's kind of in the middle of where you're trying to decide, do I want a toy or do I want something a little bit more friendly, I guess more economical for daily driving and all of that. Now, The thing that makes the GT unique is the fact that it is a sport with a sportier hopped up motor, because you're getting the e-torque with the Hemi, so it's got more horsepower, it's got a lot more torque, and you're getting the paddle shifters, you're getting the fancy shifter, so the select shifter as opposed to the dial, and you're getting that exhaust note, and the power, the performance, the speed, all of that really overtakes the way that thing feels driving. This is a lot better to drive than that, in my opinion, and that's why I think a lot of people start to veer towards this now. It sounds wicked. I mean, you can be driving and you could coast, and it's not like it's annoying, the exhaust noise. It's not like it's, you know, crazy loud or anything like that, but from the outside it's definitely noticeable enough that people will hear it, and it does complement this truck really nicely, and it complements the Hemi really well. As far as fuel economy goes between the two of them, you're actually going to get better fuel economy with this, because one, you have the eco mode, which is the MDS, which will shut it down to basically cylinder deactivation, so that this way you're running on less cylinders, and it honestly will end up with the e-torque, because of the extra added torque. You end up actually working this engine a lot more effortlessly to get up to 60, or you know, to get up to 80 or whatever, and it's working a lot less to get there, as opposed to in that you have to rev it up a little bit higher, you have to work it a little bit higher in order for it to get there. So now if you want, we can even get into the towing capacity between the two vehicles, and this is where the Gladiator really starts to lose a lot. And the reason being is it's simply because, one, you have a much more powerful motor, and it's going to work a lot more effortlessly to pull all that weight to begin with. Obviously they come with the 3.6 as well in the pickup trucks, but because it's the Rubicon, you actually have a lower towing capacity than the Sport and the Overland, so you're actually looking at something that can tow less, and when I say less, even less than half of what this can tow. So that's about 4,500 pounds you can tow with. This truck here, the rear wheel drive version, can do almost 13,000 pounds. So I mean, we're talking a big difference there. This is 4x4, this one in particular, so I think it's about 11 and change if I remember, but I mean, again, still over double what that can tow. So, and now, you know, I'm basically gonna just kind of show you guys the differences between, you know, the interiors and the trim, and kind of going over all of that between the two of them. So this does have the new 2023 digital display up here, and they did a really good job with this. I love the way this display is and all of that. Over the previous model years of display, so I was happy that they brought this to all of the models. I think the first vehicle I saw with this was a TRX, and I thought it was awesome that they went to the full digital dash, as well as you have the traditional 12-inch that's in most of the Rams now. Basically all the dealers are ordering them mostly with these. Again, this was the shifter that I was talking about here. You have the paddle shifters as well right here. And this one doesn't come with a sunroof, but you can get a sunroof, and that's something that we're going to talk about with the Gladiator, as far as being able to remove the top and all of that. So we're in the Rubicon now, and again, you know, back to basically talking about the roof, you can remove the Freedom panels here, which these two panels just pop off, and then the back portion comes off completely. So essentially what happens is this whole roof lifts off and you can take it off. It's actually a lot easier to take this roof off than the Wrangler one. I've taken both of them off, and this is definitely a whole lot easier to do. This is a manual slider, so you actually push the button to open this one, as opposed to on the GT, it's actually power, so you would just press that button on the overhead console up there. So, and that button would typically be right here, and in this it's just a manual one. So else goes, you do not have the paddle shifter options in this. It doesn't come in any of the Rubicons as far as that goes. You do have now the off-road benefits of this, because it is a Rubicon, right? And that's where now, if you're somebody who's into off-roading a bit more, then you might actually prefer having this over that, because that is more of a sporty vehicle over this being actually a more off-road vehicle. So it really comes down to really what kind of toy you're looking for. So you have your traditional 4x4 system, as opposed to in that it's just the button select, which I'll show you in just a second. Power windows still, all of that's the same. Now you do have front and rear locking axles. You can also disconnect the sway bar. You also have a feature called off-road pages. In that you don't have that sort of a feature. So as far as off-roading, this thing definitely beats it a whole lot. You have way better ground clearance and all of that. This one has the assisted drop as well, and you still have LED bed lighting too in it. So similar as far as that goes. You can still fit a sheet of drywall in between the wheel wells. It's still 4 feet there, so that is the same comparably to the two of them. And then back to here, like I was saying, you know, you have the 4x4 selecting there as well. Which of these two do you end up going with? Well, it really depends on what you need. If you, like I said, if you are someone who's looking for something a bit more sporty and maybe you're into more of like a Challenger Charger type vehicle, then you're probably going to want to go with the Ram, which is kind of where I lean towards more too. Now, if you are someone with a family, you're probably going to end up leaning more towards this. You need to tow, all of that. You're definitely going to probably want to go with this. Now, if you're not towing anything that crazy or that heavy, and you do want to be able to go on an off-road venture here and there, you definitely can do it in this a lot more confidently than you can with this. Now, not to say that the Ram can't go off-road or anything like that. It can. It's just, once again, you have a whole lot better ground clearance. You have a vehicle that is a lot more designed for it and a lot more prepared for it, as opposed to this. You have highway gearing. You don't have the gearing that this has. You don't have the locking differentials, none of that. So again, really comes down to what you're after. Definitely, if you are somebody who kind of wants best of both worlds of like a pickup and a Jeep, then you're probably going to want to go with this. The only thing that sometimes people overlook is one thing about the Wrangler compared to Gladiator, and I will do a video on this, is the Wrangler is actually all enclosed in. So if you ever had to put a lot of things in the back and you didn't have passengers with you, you could actually technically fit more in the back of a Wrangler with the seats folded down over a Gladiator. Now, if you do want to have people in it with you, then definitely having the bed gives you that extra space over the Wrangler. So if you are somebody who's comparing those two, I'll probably do a video on a comparison between the two of them. But yeah, again, that's my video for today, guys. Please let me know what you guys think. Please don't forget to smash that subscribe button, because I'll be doing more videos like this. And again, tell me which one of these two you would go with. And as always, I'll be back with more videos. Thank you.